It is indeed a family affair of the Laker Familia, Lakers Talk. Andy Kamenetsky, 710 ESPN. Thank you, as always, to everyone with us. We will be paying tribute throughout the next 2 hours to the late, great Sly Stone, the leader and brainchild of Sly and the Family Stone, passed away today. The age of 82, one of the most influential, insanely talented, insanely compelling musicians of the last several decades. Just Sly Stone's influence over music then and now cannot be overstated, so we're going to be playing a lot of Sly and the Family Stone. Lakers Talk now until 8 p.m. Obviously, just to acknowledge there's some stuff happening in L.A. right now as we speak. We are broadcasting from downtown L.A., so it is not next to us, but close, thankfully, thus far contained to just a couple areas in Los Angeles. If you are out there protesting, as a reminder, stay strong, stay safe, but also stay smart. Be mindful of unnecessary provocation. I would say the same thing to the LAPD. Stay strong, stay safe, but also be mindful of unnecessary provocation. And if you're out there just to cause trouble and chaos, stop being an a-hole. Like, this is serious business, and you're actively hurting your fellow Angelinos. So stop it now. Anyway, that out of the way, awkwardly transitioning. Lakers Talk, we've got two great guests tonight. At 6:30, we're going to talk with Rylan Stiles, the host of Locked on Thunder and one of the many Locked on NBA podcasts, part of the NBA coverage at large at the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can also find Locked On Lakers, available 5 days a week everywhere you get your podcast, Monday through Friday. Always free, never behind a paywall. And for the sickos who like to watch, there is a YouTube component, relatively early enough.
You're lacking. 4 minutes in, you're lacking.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, the real world intervened between current events and Sly Stone. I felt like I had to at least be a little bit respectful of the moment before I got into it.
It's all about you, Andy, not anyone else.
I like to pretend that it's not, but we all know it really is. But Rylan Stiles, great coverage of the Oklahoma City Thunder, which by definition means coverage of the NBA Finals, which is now knotted up one apiece. The next game is going to be Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. local time in Indiana between the Thunder and the Pacers. That game can be heard right here on 710 ESPN. And then at 7:15, we're going to talk with Khobi Price from the SoCal News Group. He's also the host of a weekly Lakers Insider show at Bleacher Report. He travels with the Lakers. He's at every game. He's at every practice. He's got a lot of great insights on the Lakers. So going to get Khobi's thoughts on what the Lakers will do this offseason, what they should do, what they can do. As we all know, this is a very, very pivotal offseason as the Lakers look to start to kick off the Luka Doncic era. And speaking of this very pivotal offseason, if you want to weigh in, 877-710 ESPN. If you want to weigh in on what the Lakers should be doing this offseason, if you want to weigh in on the NBA Finals, anything else, 877-710 ESPN. There are some reports surfacing that the Lakers will perhaps need to pay extra this offseason in order to get any deals done, not just because of the reported, supposed, mythical Lakers tax that people will talk broadly about. We've heard about this for really decades. The Lakers often will have to pay extra because teams and execs around the league, owners around the league, don't ever want to appear like they are helping the Lakers, and especially the team that always seems to get their stars whenever they want. So it would be important to extract as much as possible in a deal with the Lakers from Rob Pelinka. And then specifically, beyond just, again, the broad Laker tax that we always hear about, there are reports that specifically the Lakers tax has to do with a payback of sorts due to the perception that the Lakers were essentially gifted Luka Doncic by Nico Harrison and the Dallas Mavericks. Luka just hand-delivered to the Lakers, the team that always has the easiest time getting their stars, anyway, so says the narrative. So screw them for getting Luka Doncic, a generational star in his prime, in their minds, lopsided deal. On top of this, there is the backlash that Nico and the Mavericks have felt from the media, Mavs fans, from Mark Cuban. Even Don Nelson weighed in before Game 2 of the NBA Finals criticizing the deal. So if Nelly, who's chill enough that I believe he still has his own weed farm, like that's not a joke. Nelly actually really did for a while get into the weed growing business. I don't know if he still has, if still doing it. He had his own strain. If a dude,
I love the fact that he's like an old hippie now.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Like
he lives in Hawaii.
Hawaii, yes. Has a weed farm.
This sounds like a joke, but at least last I checked, it is true. Not only is he living in Hawaii, growing weed, legally, to be clear, legally, he is boys with Woody Harrelson, who I believe also has a place out in Hawaii, and we all know enjoys indulging in
he
a
loves
little.
bongos, we all know.
Yeah, well, that's McConaughey.
Oh, that's right.
McConaughey, who is, by the way, also boys.
They're all boys.
They're all boys. They're all high as bleep all the time. So if Nelly is put off enough by the Luka deal, then you can imagine the perception around the entire league. And because of that, there's an idea that the Lakers are going to have to give up everything if they're going to make a deal this offseason. That's going to be difficult because the Lakers don't have that much to deal to begin with. Jake Weinbach, longtime NBA reporter on Twitter, said, quote, league execs believe the Lakers were handed a gift after acquiring Luka Doncic. It's important to note this league-wide sentiment is expected to make it more challenging for the Lakers to negotiate with other teams. And then, if we get specifically to the Mavericks, because they have been, even after this, linked to the Lakers because of Daniel Gafford. Daniel Gafford, their center, who at this point is really the backup to both Derek Lively and Anthony Davis. Cooper Flagg is expected to be in Dallas shortly. He's going to be taking up front court minutes. P.J. Washington, for the time being, is in Dallas, takes up front court minutes. So Gafford could be expendable. The Lakers desperately need a center. But again, there could be that Lakers tax from Jovan Buha, covers the team from The Athletic, from his recent podcast, Buha's Block. Everyone should be listening, friend of the show. Quote, my read is they'd probably have to overpay. It would probably have to be something like Gabe Vincent, Dalton Connect, and a first-round pick for Daniel Gafford, and that's a lot. Now, assuming that Jovan's read on this is correct, I would agree that is a lot for Daniel Gafford. The Lakers will really have to like Daniel Gafford to make that deal, because you got to remember, it's not just the price that they would have to pay to get Daniel Gafford. And something like Gabe Vincent, Dalton Connect, first-round pick, Lakers only have one right now that they can deal outright. Let's presume that first-round pick is going to be unprotected. It's a lot for Daniel Gafford, who he's a good player, but he has never established himself as a full-time center in the NBA. Like, he has started about maybe 50-ish% of the games in his career. So, solid player. He's good. But that's a lot to give up for a guy that has largely been a backup in the league. But it's not just what you give up to get Daniel Gafford. Daniel Gafford is in the last year of his contract with Dallas. He's getting about 14 and change from Dallas in the final year, meaning he's going to be up for a new deal in the summer of 2026. And that would mean he has a lot of leverage over the Lakers, because the Lakers are not going to want to give up that much for Daniel Gafford as a rental. Like, short of the Lakers making some really big moves over this offseason, they're not one Daniel Gafford away from winning a championship. So that would be too expensive a rental. So that means you need to be comfortable with the idea of potentially paying Daniel Gafford $20 million a season, maybe 20 plus per season in a new deal. And again, he would have that type of leverage over the Lakers. So because of this world where the Lakers theoretically have a tax to pay simply for being the Lakers, and then especially if they're dealing with Dallas, you have to ask yourself, is Daniel Gafford good enough that he is worth overpaying for essentially twice, or at least essentially overpaying twice for him, paying a heavy price monetarily and in assets for Daniel Gafford twice? I'm inclined to say no. But coming up next, I'm going to explain another guy where if the Lakers are going to ultimately have to pay a quote-unquote Lakers tax in any deal because of resentment around the league, whether because of Luka or just because that's the resentment that exists around the Lakers, period, the guy that I'm thinking of, at least you'll only have to overpay once. I'm going to explain what I mean by that coming up next. This is Lakers Talk. Andy Kamenetsky, 710 ESPN.
30 years ago, Wu-Tang Clan changed hip-hop forever. Now, it's time for the Final Chamber. Live in Los Angeles, Wu-Tang Clan, together, live on stage, the beginning of their final tour. Crypto.com Arena, June 22nd. With Run the Jewels. Get tickets now at WuTangClan.com. Wu-Tang Forever, the Final Chamber. Produced by AEG Presents.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it.
Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/55 to learn more. With 24 monthly bill credits and 2 new lines with autopay for well-qualified customers plus taxes, fees, and $35 per line connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Chargers sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
Travis Rogers and DeMarco Farr.
Back tomorrow at 9 a.m. after Clinton and Friends.
DeMarco, what was your best birthday?
Ever?
Yeah.
Well, there's one, like when I was like 12.
What made it good?
I got everything I wanted. Like everything. I got the bike.
Oh, yeah.
I got the Transformers. I got everything I wanted plus cash.
Oh,
yeah.
It's hard to beat.
That was a cool one.
Did you do a fun party, too, with that? A theme party?
Everybody came to our house, so everyone came for me, got the cake, got to stand there, blow out the candles. That was a fun one. So, yeah. And this one was fun. This one was a great time.
You and I have the same birthday you have coming up later this year. Like, this is once you're past 21, we're only hitting the big numbers.
Right.
You're hitting 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, maybe 75. But, yeah, you're going.
I mean, you would know.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Weekday mornings at 9 a.m.
It's Travis and DeMarco
on 710 ESPN.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs, with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
All the latest surrounding the Lake Show, right here on Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Now back to Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky.
Again, RIP to Sly and the Family Stone, one of the true musical geniuses of the 20th century. And it's a great documentary by Questlove from The Roots about Sly Stone that came out earlier this year.
My mother-in-law made me watch it, but I fell asleep to it. I didn't mean to, fall asleep to it, but I was tired, you know.
The man just died.
No, I mean, this was like, a few months ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't mean to, it wasn't today. Okay. I mean, I still want to watch it, but I mean, I'm just trying to say something interesting and relatable.
Yeah, I guess we all pay our respects in different ways.
Yeah,
but there's a great scene in this documentary with that song that just played, "Trip to Your Heart." That is the sample for Mama Said Knock You Out, like the primary sample in it. And I had no idea that sample came from Sly and the Family Stone. And one of the things they get into in this documentary, not that you wouldn't guess, I think a lot of people would assume that when you're talking about like James Brown, Sly Stone, George Clinton, Curtis Mayfield, like a lot of those soul and R&B legends from the 60s and 70s. Like everybody knows that a lot of hip hop, especially early hip hop, sample from that. But like the depths of those samples, like how much of Sly and the Family Stone is in modern music, like truly it is in the music that came after him.
I've seen a bunch of just hip-hop acts that have sampled his stuff, and it's basically everybody.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So I mean, again, one of the true geniuses of the 20th century music. Highly recommend the documentary Questlove. I can't remember the title of it, but you can find it easily. It's on Hulu. Definitely check it out. Before I get into this other option potentially for the Lakers, that if they're going to overpay, at least they'll only have to overpay once. Let me talk to JJ in Belmont Shores. You are on Lakers Talk. What's up, JJ?
Andy, how are you, brother?
Good, man.
And Punch, how are you, man?
Love you, JJ.
Okay, listen, Sly, my condolences to the family. Hot fun in the summertime.
Yep.
That was barbecue when I was younger, barbecue with the whole family listening to that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the best. It's the best.
Okay, now listen, Gafford, you said we could get him for $14 million?
Yeah. You'd have to trade for him at I think it's 14.3. But remember, it's in the last year of his deal. So,
which I don't like, and I don't think he's good enough. Now, if you got Steven Jackson at 12 or 14.
You mean Steven Adams. Steven
Adams. I'm sorry, Steven Adams. Yeah, I've always been, even when we had, and that's what gets me, this tax on the Lakers, we didn't give them slop. We gave them Anthony Davis, top 10 center for sure, top 4 when he's on. And why do we get penalized, kind of?
Because, JJ, and appreciate the call, that's just how the world works. There's a lot of resentment towards the Lakers. And, as great as AD is, and I'm a big fan of AD, I've been a big proponent of AD, Luka's better, and he's 6 years younger. So that's where some of this comes from, that Dallas didn't even create a legitimate bidding war for Luka. Nobody else was really able to get in on that action. That's where it all starts. I'm not justifying it, just saying that's where it begins. I'd mention, though, this notion of the Lakers potentially or reportedly, they're going to have to pony up for any moves they make because of the backlash after the Luka deal, some of the resentment that already has long existed around the Lakers, and I think in a lot of ways specifically exists around Rob Pelinka. I have never got the impression that he's particularly popular among his peers. And Daniel Gafford, heard Jovan Buha's comments from his podcast that the price for Gafford could be steep. And then, as I said, on top of it, there's the price to re-sign him. And Gafford's going to have a lot of leverage if you bring him in that way. You don't want to give up that much. Jovan thought it could be Gabe Vincent to match salaries, but also one of your expirings that you could use for someone else. He's a trade chip that way. Dalton Connect and a first. That could be a lot for Daniel Gafford. But if overpaying becomes just the climate for the Lakers and that just becomes the price of doing business, this is where, to me, somebody like Nick Claxton, center in Brooklyn, long linked to the Lakers, and I think he's going to be linked to the Lakers for a while until the Lakers either have a different center or Nick Claxton is traded, one or the other. I think Nick Claxton's actually better than Gafford to begin with. Like, he is a more established starting center in the league. You know, a few years ago when Brooklyn was actually a serious team, Nick Claxton played pretty well for them. I think he is probably a better fit defensively for what at least it seems like J.J. Redick wants to do. But if nothing else, I like Claxton more if overpaying is going to be the price of doing business, because you only have to overpay for him potentially once. Let's say the Lakers end up having to give up a lot in a deal to Brooklyn for Nick Claxton. Okay, that's not ideal. But Nick Claxton is under contract through 2028. And it's a descending deal. He's getting around $25 million for the next season, 2026 season, then around 23 for 2027, and then around 21 for 2028. So it's a descending deal, but even if it was ascending, assuming it's a price that I can live with, that's your price. And it's cost controlled at that point. It's cost controlled at a number that Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss have decided they're okay with. And then you have certainty. And if nothing else, you end up overpaying, at least potentially overpaying for Claxton only once, as opposed to, say, Daniel Gafford, or pick another impending free agent in the 2026 offseason. Like P.J. Washington has been linked before to another Dallas guy, and remove the Dallas piece of all this. I'm just talking about free agents in 2026, and he's one that came to me off the top of my head. P.J. Washington would be in the exact same situation. Anybody who is an expiring in 2026, you are potentially liable to have to pay that guy or overpay for their services twice. If this is the world that the Lakers are going to have to navigate, I think they could be better off going for guys who are under contract. You know, again, somebody like a Nick Claxton that you know what it's going to be for the next few years, and the price is what it is, or you need to look for expirings that don't cost you as much and you can learn to live with them walking. Like, you don't want to end up putting yourself in a position, if you're Rob Pelinka, where the cost of doing business really comes back to bite you twice. And again, someone like Daniel Gafford, as an example, I'm just bringing him up because he's part of those reports with Dallas. Jovan Buha had those comments, and he's been linked to the Lakers for a long time. He has the experience playing with Luka Doncic, yada, yada. I would be trepidatious about overpaying for Daniel Gafford twice, because I don't know if he is an established enough player in the league that I think he would be worth doing that for. And again, if nothing else, with someone like Nick Claxton, whatever you overpay just to get him, that's where it ends. And I think that's something the Lakers are going to have to weigh when they start thinking about pros and cons of guys that they could be bringing in. Coming up next, though, we're going to take a look at the NBA Finals at large. It's been an entertaining series, very fun, 1-1. Heading to Indianapolis, Game 3 is on Wednesday. It can be heard right here, 5:30 local time, 7:10 ESPN. And we're going to talk with Rylan Stiles, who covers the Thunder for Locked On Thunder, also covers the NBA at large for the Locked On Podcast Network. He's coming up next. This is Lakers Talk. Andy Kamenetsky, 710 ESPN.
When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. We are ranked number 18 in the nation and number 1 in Orange County for orthopedic and spine care by U.S. News & World Report. From the surf to the green. Our world-class doctors are there, which is why more Californians choose Hoag Orthopedic Institute for orthopedic and spine care more than any other hospital. At Hoag Orthopedic Institute, there is no one better at getting you back to you. Proudly founded by premier physicians in partnership with Hoag. Learn more at HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/LA to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/LA.
Mark your calendars, SoCal. The High Desert Beer and Wine Festival returns to the Palmdale Amphitheater on Saturday, June 21st from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Sample craft brews from regional breweries, sip fine wines, and enjoy tasty food trucks while rocking out to live performances from Eve 6, DJ A1, and some of the best cover bands around. It's the tastiest party of the summer. Tickets available at highdesertbeerandwinefest.com. General admission and VIP options available. That's highdesertbeerandwinefest.com.
In a world parched for excitement, one drink will emerge. Twisted Tea, the refreshing thrill ride of flavor. Recreating its classic role as the hard iced tea that goes down smooth. Twisted Tea doesn't just taste like real iced tea, it's made with real brewed tea and a 5% kick of alcohol. Taste the adventure with Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
If you're in construction, it's time to mark your calendars. Purple Wave Auction is selling Valfair Construction's premium fleet on June 12th. Their transparent process lets you bid with confidence on late model Cat, Volvo, and John Deere equipment located near you. From haul trucks to excavators, they've got your needs covered. Use their set max bid and walk away feature for stress-free bidding. This no reserve auction is a game changer for fleet upgrades. Start exploring at purplewave.com today. Purple Wave, where top tier equipment meets unmatched convenience.
A fun way to drive home is with Sedano and Cap.
Maybe it's those cute glasses. Like the Cuban Clark Kent is what you are right now.
Okay.
Goodness, you're cute. You are adorable.
Sedano and Cap.
Weekdays at 3 p.m.
on 710 ESPN.
This is Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky on 710 ESPN. It's the home of the Lake Show and the home of Lakers Talk.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Back to Andy Kamenetsky.
Going to talk with Rylan Stiles from Locked on Thunder and Locked on NBA in just a couple minutes. Get his perspective on the NBA Finals, what's been going on with the Thunder and the Pacers. Also, maybe even get his thoughts on the Lakers. Yeah, I see you, DeAndre.
This beat, man, gets me going. Every time I hear this beat.
So we give you a lot of crap, DeAndre. You don't know nothing about No Blank, but you clearly know something about some Sly and the Family Stone.
I do, man.
So even in your age demo, like do the kids okay, look, I'm even getting a thumbs up from Parker in the back. Like everybody.
Hey, Parker's culture. He's for the culture.
Okay, I was gonna say everybody knows Sly and the Family Stone, and again, rest in peace to the great Sly Stone. Died today, age 82. I'll be honest, there's been a couple times because it's been well documented. Sly lived a very chaotic life. There was a lot going on with substance abuse. A lot, like he's one of those guys that honestly, in my head, I thought he'd already passed. Just because he's also he's been out of the public eye for a lot. Like he's rarely been seen. He hasn't spoken much. So. Occasionally I'd already thought that he had passed, but again, incredible career. People should check out the documentary on Hulu.
Man, he's got a lot of hits that I didn't even know about, man. Like, you just...
Dude, he's one of those guys that's got a greatest... He could put out one of those greatest hits albums with like 50 tracks.
And maybe like a double CD or something.
Yep. Rylan Stiles maybe has thoughts on Sly and the Family Stone. He is joining us right now, I believe, en route to Indianapolis for Game 3. Am I correct about that, Rylan?
You're spot on, Andy. We just crossed the threshold of Indiana, so we're making great progress.
Okay, now who's we, by the way? Who's in the car with you?
We have Michael Martin, Let's Talk Thunder, Clemente Almanza, Thunder Wire, and Derek Parker, Thunder on SI.
Nice. I like this. Some of the Lakers beat writers, like in the past, Dave McMenamin, Kyle Goon, when he used to cover the team, Dan Wojcicki, they would occasionally make trips from cities together. So this sounds really fun. Sounds really cool. And tell them to pipe down, too.
It's a lot of fun. We've been able to make these road trips all postseason. So why not close it out in the great city?
There you have it. Okay, so like we talked about before you came on, the finals are underway, 1-1 tie right now, heading to Game 3 on Wednesday. Game 1 was a contest where the Thunder led for all but 0.3 of a second, yet somehow, sometimes by double digits, but somehow managed to lose. Another Tyrese Halliburton clutch shot. Sunday was a game where the Thunder led for the overwhelming majority again, sometimes again by double digits, but managed to close it out. What was the difference in your mind?
I think that one of the big differences was just an understanding of what it takes.
We may need to call you back, Rylan. We're going to try to call you back in a second. We're dropping you. Could be a byproduct of the road trip right now. He and all the Thunder media guys on the way to Indianapolis. As we look to get Rylan back. He's back. Okay, cool. Rylan, you there?
We're back. We're ready to rock and roll.
Okay, tell everybody to get off their phones. We need all the Wi-Fi and cell coverage that we can possibly get. Everybody has to turn their phones off.
Yeah, I don't know what the Putnamville cell service is like. And we have to get some G bars out.
All right,
but I think that the difference really was an understanding of how to play against Indiana. Chet and SGA both talked about having to keep the foot on the gas, basically, against a Pacers team that never rolls over. But another portion of it was just simply shot making. The Thunder just simply, in a make-or-miss league, did enough to get timely threes from guys like Wiggins, guys like Caruso. Those timely threes never went down for them in Game 1, and it left the door open. And anytime you do that, you're susceptible to visitors. You're susceptible to a team running through that door and getting a win. And that's what Indiana did in Game 1.
Talking with Rylan Stiles. He is the host of Locked On Thunder, one of the many co-hosts of Locked On NBA, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetsky, 710 ESPN. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 30-plus point games in Game 1 and Game 2. Game 2 was a win. How much, if at all, do you think he played differently or approached things differently in Game 2 versus Game 1?
I thought individually he let those buckets come to him better in Game 2. I thought in Game 1 there was a few different moments where perhaps he was hunting for a moment, a step-back three, a kill shot. I think that some of that comes with the fact that his co-stars weren't helping him out in Game 1, and he kind of felt the pressure of having to do a little bit too much. But overall, I thought it was much of the same, of just him breaking down Indiana's defense and being able to be a tough shot maker in the mid-range. And he certainly got enough in Game 2, but he continued to trust his teammates, continued to make the right decisions with the ball in his hands to set those guys up. It loosened up Indiana's defense because shots were falling, and he was able to dominate and dominate in a way that against Rick Carlisle, who tried to throw a lot of different stuff at him, a couple possessions of zone defense, putting a guy at the nail on him on top of his point of attack defender, and Shai navigated it through it all gracefully. But I thought that overall the game just felt more in rhythm for him in Game 2.
You mentioned those shots that SGA got in the mid-range, and he's known now as the master of the mid-range in the NBA. And he reminds me a little bit of what I used to think was difficult in trying to defend that Suns team in 2021 that went to the finals with Chris Paul and Devin Booker. Like, those guys also playing in the mid-range, and it's an area that's become so de-emphasized in the NBA that I think defenses just aren't used to accounting for it. and it's almost counterintuitive to the way that they think. Like, beyond Shai's just obvious talent, how much do you think just playing in the mid-range gives him an advantage along those lines?
I think that you're spot on, Indy. I think that when you're playing a scorer like SGA who can do it at all three levels to varying degrees, your natural instinct in the modern NBA is to either get a gear up to shut off a driver at the rim or to run somebody off the three-point line, and then you get caught in the crossfires of that mid-range at the elbow where Shai likes to do a lot of his work, that slow-paced baseline turnaround jumper that he likes to get to, and you just kind of get caught up in the ever-changing offenses that they run where they're flipping screens and Iverson cutting around Shai to disorient you a little bit. But the positioning, just the pickup points on Shai, teams haven't really figured out where exactly to position themselves, and you see it change possession to possession these last couple of years of, do you want to full court press them? Do you want to pick them up at the timeline? Do you want to pick them up at the nail? Do you want to pick them up at the three-point line? And I think that constant jumbling of pickup points makes it hard for defenses too. In the NBA again, where it's typically textbook. It's typically run guys off the three-point line and trust that your back in defense can protect you at the rim, because guys aren't taking the mid-range shots as much as Shai. He does throw a wrinkle into that that's hard to adjust to on the fly.
Talking with Rylan Stiles. He is the host of Locked On Thunder, one of the many hosts of Locked On NBA. You can follow him on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. There's been a lot made out of Mark Dagnall's decision to start the Thunder small with Cason Wallace entering the first five, Isaiah Hartenstein coming off the bench. Panic move, overthinking, sensible adjustment. Like, how much do you think this specific adjustment actually mattered? And how much do you think the double big look for the Thunder matters broadly?
I think that it mattered 0% in game one. I thought that the starting lineup controlled a lot of that game and allowed them to play the style of basketball that they wanted to. Again, they shouldn't make enough shots. I mean, if you're going to get a game where Chet Holmgren is non-existent and J-Dub's production is dead on arrival, you're just not going to win. I mean, like those are your number two, number three scoring options, and you didn't have a crazy outlier role player step up beside three. So your offense turned into Lou Dort hitting a three, Shai being magnificent, and a couple Isaiah Hartenstein putbacks. You can't win NBA Finals games in that way. And even the double big lineup against Minnesota, where they won in 5 games, people didn't really take notice of it because they didn't technically change who the starting lineup was, so who got the run out of the tunnel and the pop and circumstances around it. The true a fastball lineup for them against Minnesota was the same starters that they put on the floor in game one of the finals. And we spent a whole week previewing the series saying that Indiana can cause so much chaos for the Thunder's double big lineups that they should probably adjust. And then once they adjusted, we called it a panic move because they lost. Had they held on to that 15-point lead, we would have been singing a different tune. And I don't think that the single big lineups hurt the Thunder. You saw whenever they collapsed down the stretch of game one, they had no big on the floor, and that's what really hurt the Thunder, which is not how they started the game. But the double big lineup can be effective and was effective in game two, especially when Thomas Bryant is on the floor. I think that Hartenstein is really important individually in this series because of how he can set screens and create advantages to get Shai and J-Dub downhill, but also his additional playmaking for a team that has a lot of connective playmakers but not a ton of advantage creating passers. Isaiah Hartenstein is one of those guys who, with the pass, can lead guys into shots, and I think that that's what was missed in game one from that starting lineup. But it's harder defensively to get away with that against the Pacers starters, and that's why you saw Mark, for the first time in the series, go to double bigs in game two, but it was almost exclusively against Indiana's bench lineup. But individually, each big has to be on the floor, at least one of them, for 48 minutes, and that was a key adjustment in game two as well.
Not that you are looking, Rylan. We're talking with Rylan Stiles, the host of Locked On Thunder. You can follow him on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Not that you're looking to give the Pacers advice on how to beat the Thunder, but during the broadcast, both Richard Jefferson and Doris Burke talked about how they felt like Tyrese Halliburton was waiting too long into the game to start scoring, looking for his own shots. And I'd actually been thinking about that before they said anything, and then I started looking at his splits, whether in the playoffs or in the regular season, even first versus second halves. The Pacers win in games more often when he takes more shots. And they tend to lose more in games where he takes fewer shots. The data is consistent. How much do you think Halliburton needs to be more aggressive, just looking to score? And why do you think it's not happening?
It's kind of a double-edged sword because, to me, he's making the right plays. If you just looked at every single play in a vacuum, Halliburton is deciding when to shoot and when to pass at the proper rate. It's just that this is how the Thunder's defense has operated all year long, where they take away the number one and number two option and force them to give the ball up, force them to get out of their comfort zone. And it bears out with Halliburton specifically against the Thunder. In the regular season, against any team he played more than one game against, he had his worst shot attempt per game average against Oklahoma City. If the 13 shot attempts per game from the first two games holds, it'll be a second worst attempts per game all playoffs, which only is made worse by the Cleveland series, which was a non-contest where he had two games where he shot 8 times because it was a blowout fashion. So I think that the Thunder's harassing style of play and swarming him that is forcing him to get the ball out of his hand and the secondary creators from Indiana to deliver for him and then find a way to get the ball back to him. I think that that's one of the areas where he's having a little bit of trouble, is finding ways to relocate and get himself freed up after the initial pass. I think that you can start actions a touch earlier in the sense of the action of getting it out of his hands earlier, maybe moving him off ball a little bit more. But then you run into the risk of, if you take the ball out of your best passer's hands against this Thunder defense, which is so terrific in the passing lanes and getting deflections and getting steals, then you open yourself up to a wild turnover game. But I think that at this rate, you're going to have to start to make unorthodox changes if you're Rick Carlisle, and the head coach that has been known to do things unorthodox throughout his career and helped them win a championship already. So with Halliburton, I think he's getting a little bit too much criticism for not doing quote-unquote enough, because the alternative is just taking bad shots, and perhaps it'd make people feel better if he took bad shots, because maybe he can make some of them, and at least it looks like he's trying. But to me, he's making the right decisions a lot of the time.
Last question for you, Rylan. We're talking with Rylan Stiles, the host of Locked On Thunder and Locked On NBA. Getting ahead of myself a bit, but I'm always thinking about the Lakers landscape and maybe a point where the Thunder can't keep all of their players and have to let somebody go. The Lakers need center help, maybe a permanent center. How good of a player is center Jalen Williams? Because I know he's not in the rotation now, but when he does play, it seems like he always gets triple-doubles. Like, is he a starting caliber center in your mind?
It's interesting. You saw him be the starting center in the second half of his rookie season due to injury. You saw him be the primary backup a year ago, but he's a completely different player than those two seasons this year. I think he's best served as a swing starter, but especially like if you have him as your third string center, you feel really good, as the Thunder do right now, because he is a specific archetype of player that can help. For the Lakers specifically, I would not consider J. Will a viable option, only because if you're going to get him, you're still going to have on the floor for the lion's share of the minutes. And while J. Will is an interesting pick and pop option, Luka really thrives with a vertical center, and J. Will has, with all due respect, no verticality to his game as a roller. So I don't really know how Luka would create the advantages with J. Will. He has no verticality on either end of the floor. So I think that the Lakers aspect, you'd then be using him as an exclusive backup big who, like Hartenstein, can utilize his playmaking and screen setting to help out that secondary unit, but overall isn't a massive needle mover.
Okay, well, I'm thinking ahead, Rylan, and thinking about some of the guys the Thunder may eventually have to jettison when some of their guys become more expensive. But those are first world problems for OKC. He is Rylan Stiles. He is the host of Locked On Thunder, Locked On NBA. You can follow him on Twitter at RYLAN_STILES. Thanks for the time, brother. Safe travels to Indianapolis.
Thanks, Andy. Whenever you're visualizing Luka pairings, make sure you visualize someone that can jump more than 2 feet off the ground.
Good scouting note, Rylan. That's why they pay you the big bucks over at Locked On, man. Thank you. I guess we're crossing other J. Will off the list there, DeAndre.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, the J. Will era in L.A. was very
over.
We hardly knew ye, other J. Will. All right, coming up next, if people want to react to anything Rylan Stiles said, 877-710-ESPN, anything we talked about earlier regarding the reported Laker tax that may get even heavier over the offseason, or anything you want to get into with the Lakers, 877-710-ESPN. Lakers Talk, 710 ESPN.
The biggest show on the radio. Mason and Ireland on 710.
I noticed today I never put YouTube up.
Okay.
Today it's up. What do you think my big surprise is? Not how great I look.
You do look great in it.
Brian, big surprise.
I'm looking at what you're wearing. Is it something to do with your appearance?
No.
Oh.
I'm a huge hand talker.
Oh, you just realized that?
Non-stop hands, and the chair is always moving. The mic is off and on. I mean, I'm like scattered in here. So it's actually it's at least interesting, I think, to look at. And by the way, if you're not watching us on YouTube, I expect 1,000 damn people on there right now. Go to YouTube/ESPN LA, and I want to see 1,000 people watching the Mason and Ireland show on YouTube.
The OGs of LA Sports Radio.
Tomorrow at noon.
Mason and Ireland on 710 ESPN.
Hey everyone, this is Ramona Shelburne. Here's something I learned firsthand. A lot of ERs don't have pediatric specialists. But did you know that Children's Hospital Los Angeles is the go-to for complex cases? When my older son Daniel had a scary fall and later developed Bell's palsy, we took him to the local ER. But they didn't have a pediatric specialist, so they called Children's Hospital Los Angeles for guidance. Their expertise isn't just in-house, it's a resource for the whole community. When it comes to kids' emergencies, CHLA is the MVP that other hospitals turn to.
One of LA's best kept secrets in the heart of Los Angeles, East Central Hotel offers effortless accommodations and unparalleled accessibility. The East Central Hotel is for everyone looking for entertainment with their trendy spacious rooms, a renovated gym, and a patio lounge for breakfast, dinner, and drinks. Stop by their incredible Nixo Lounge before your next event at LA Live. Book your stay at eastcentralhotel.com or call 213-748-1291 today at Entertainment's official address.
Lakers Talk continues on 710 ESPN.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
More Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky right now.
Started to sing, and then I realized, let her handle it. She's got it under control. Everybody's a star. Sly and the Family Stone. Again, R.I.P. to Sly Stone. Thanks again to Rylan Stiles from Locked on Thunder for
This is my favorite song.
It's one of his best.
It's my favorite song.
It's one of their best, man.
When the system tries to bring you down.
Yeah, the documentary, like I know I've talked about it a few times, but for anybody wanting a deeper dive into Sly Stone, it talks about like the way they approached a lot of their very political and socially conscious music while also trying. I mean, Sly Stone really wanted to be a crossover artist and like really wanted to have that black and white audience. You know, a lot of his band was white, and that actually created some pressures and pushback from the black community. A lot of like black, I know, like if I remember correctly from the documentary, that he caught some flack from the Black Panthers that led to him changing up some members of his band. Like it's something you hear about a lot with, whether you're talking about Sly Stone or Prince, like a lot of black artists, Michael Jackson, deal with this pressure and push-pull of trying to not cater too much to white audiences to where they lose what they feel like their own black roots, that, you know, the influences they have, the audiences they want to reach, but wanting to have as wide an audience as possible. And it's something that unfortunately a lot of black artists had to deal with, and Sly Stone was no different. Mitch in New Jersey, my man Mitch, you're on Lakers Talk. What's up, Mitch?
How's it going, Andy?
Good.
French, hope you guys are well. Be safe.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Don't want to see the Lakers give up their assets, you know, mainly draft choices. They have any first-round picks? I think they do.
They've got for all intents and purposes one that they can trade right now.
I don't want them to trade.
What do you want them to do then?
I mean, it's supposed to be a good trade. It's supposed to be a good draft, but how about Jonas? He was a late trade to the Kings. I know he's got that age.
Jonas Valanciunas?
Right. I didn't know how to pronounce his last name. I knew you did. I knew you knew. His main guy.
That's why they pay me the big bucks there, Mitch.
Oh. Or what about DeAndre Ayton? Why is this guy kind of a failure? Not his sense is coming back. It seems like they have a plethora of guards, by the way, and we could use them if we're going to trade AK and AR. I'm sorry, Andy. But why not? Can we see? Do we have enough without giving up too much?
Well, the real problem. I appreciate the call there, Mitch. The real problem, I think, with getting DeAndre Ayton beyond the questions of what it takes to consistently motivate DeAndre Ayton, which has been something that has perplexed both the Suns and the Blazers during times while he's played for them. I mean, he's got talent. Like, DeAndre Ayton is not a bad player, but he's not necessarily a high motor guy, and he's never been known as like a true self-starter. So fair or not, that is something the Lakers are going to have to think about. But also, he makes $35 million. I want to say something.
32 next year.
So you're likely going.
Actually, no, you're right. 35 for next season. Yes.
I think it is going to be very difficult to make that deal happen without giving up Rui. And even if you have questions about where Rui fits into a team that's got a lot of guys who can play power forward, a lot of guys defensively who you could argue that's their best position, like sort of where does Rui fit into all of this? Rui's a really good player. And I don't know if I'd want to give him up for DeAndre Ayton. You guys, thoughts?
I think I'd do it in a second.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean, the only thing I doubt about DeAndre Ayton is you're right. He's not a self-starter. You know, you have to motivate him or whatever. But based on talent and what the team needs right now, they probably need a guy like Ayton more than they do Rui.
I agree with that. I just don't know, DeAndre, if Ayton is the guy, even though he's at the right position, that I would want to move Rui for.
See, I didn't watch him much in the Trailblazers because he barely played.
Because he was with the Trailblazers.
He didn't.
He barely played. So I see the DeAndre Ayton on the Phoenix Suns where he had a lot of craft as far as offensively in the middle, and especially what he would do in the low post.
Oh, he's talented. He's definitely talented.
But he can kind of get a little lazy sometimes on the other end of the floor, and he's not really. You don't really see him much of as a rim protector, and that's what the Lakers desperately need. They need someone that can protect the rim and command the rebounds. You know what I mean? So, as much as scoring can help as far as what he can do offensively, the Lakers need to have guys do work on the other end too.
Yeah, it's a really tricky thing because I think Mitch is correct and Funchy was correct that they need DeAndre Ayton as a prototype more than they need Rui right now. Rui, though, I know fits with this team, and I know he fits with Luka. And theoretically, depending on what happens with like LeBron moving forward, DFS, Rui is somebody that you could pair him with Luka as a catch and shoot guy, and that could work for a while. I mean, like Rui has turned into a 40% plus 3-point shooter for 2 seasons.
But do you really want to motivate someone? Like you're in
that's
do you
the
really
thing.
need that's going to set the Lakers back? Do you need to really go out there and be like, hey, man, we need you to perform. We need you to do this. Why would you need that?
And here's the other problem. DeAndre Ayton is an expiring contract. So then you get put in the position of, do we want to re-sign him? Like, do we want to be the team that gives DeAndre Ayton his next contract? Like, there are a lot of guys who, in a contract year, bust their ass.
So I say, wouldn't that be a good thing? He's coming into his expiring contract, and they say if it was to happen, whatever the case is, he's going to be playing his ass off because he needs to prove that, hey, look, I can be this type of player for their respective team.
Now, again, that could be great for this coming season, but then you got to think about the future. Okay, we talked earlier about
But they're going to be signing a lot of other guys on one-year deals anyways.
Okay, we talked about the Lakers tax. This could really start turning into a question of how much is that tax. Because if you don't have to give up that much to get DeAndre Ayton, then you could actually say, you know what? We hope he plays his ass off for this one season, and then we'll figure out the later. Because we didn't give up that much for him in the process. If he ends up a rental, so be it. It starts getting tricky, and this is the case with, say, Daniel Gafford, who we were talking about earlier. The idea of you give up a lot and they're in a walk year. So that's where things become complicated. Beto in Whittier, hang in there. Going to get to you on the other side. We're also going to talk with Khobi Price from the SoCal News Group at 7:15. Lakers Talk, 710 ESPN.
Hey, John Ireland here for Thrive Cybersecurity. We all know in sports that defense wins games and turnovers kill you. That's also true in business. The truth is 1/3 of businesses will unwittingly turn over their sensitive company data to thieves this year. Don't let that happen to you. Remember this website, thrivenextgen.com/ESPN. Thrive starts with a comprehensive cyber risk assessment. Their security analysts identify gaps and deliver proactive solutions to help keep your network healthy and protected. It's not a matter of if, it's when. Get ready. Visit thrivenextgen.com/ESPN. That's thrivenextgen.com/ESPN. Play defense. Use Thrive and protect your business.
Hey guys, it's Sedano. Los Angeles International Airport's People Mover trains begin rolling early next year as part of LAX's ongoing investments to transform and improve your travel journey. The People Mover trains will quickly move guests between their terminals and our new consolidated rental car center, metro trains and buses, economy parking, and Kiss and Fly lot. The trains will make it simple and fast to get to your LAX destination in 10 minutes or less, and trains depart every 2 minutes beginning in early 2026. Learn more at lawa.org/ESPN.
Teams are battling for the championship, and there's no better place to get in on the intensity than ESPN Bet. Go from tracking the latest game-changing moments to placing bets in just a few taps. Right now, new customers can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app and sign up with the promo code JOEQ, that's JOEQ, to get started today. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos. Fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game.
Hi, this is Sean McVay of your LA Rams. The Rams play here. KSPN, Los Angeles.
710 ESPN.
A good karma brands radio station. 710 ESPN. The radio home of the purple and gold. And the home of Lakers Talk.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Lakers Talk is on. Here's Andy Kamenetsky.
Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetsky, 710 ESPN. We will be joined by Khobi Price from the SoCal News Group in about 15 minutes and paying tribute to Sly Stone over the course of the next hour as well. Sly and the family Stone passing away at 82 years old today. Also, want to give a quick shout-out. Get to Beto and Whittier in just a second, but want to give a quick shout-out to Bill Plaschke. Longtime LA Times columnist. He is a fixture in Los Angeles sports coverage, national coverage too. He's been a fixture on PTI. And over the weekend, he wrote an incredibly moving piece for the LA Times about his battle with Parkinson's, which was essentially him announcing that he has Parkinson's. I got the impression that this is something very few people knew. Obviously, Parkinson's is a brutal disease, and Bill Plaschke seems to, as he always does, be keeping a positive mindset. He wrote this piece about the boxing that he's doing in Monrovia, something that I did not realize a lot of Parkinson's patients do as their therapy. But Bill Plaschke is truly one of the good guys in this industry. Like, from the moment I entered and my brother Brian entered, and full disclosure, we began blogging for the LA Times, and this was a very new media period. And there was, frankly, a lot of hostility from some of the older school media types towards what people like Brian and I were doing. And Bill Plaschke was the absolute opposite of that, like always incredibly kind and supportive. And he is that way to everybody. So just wanted to send out my best wishes to Bill. He's a really, really good dude. Best of luck in this battle. Beto in Whittier. You're on Lakers Talk. What's up, Beto?
What's up, my brother? Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, yeah, first and foremost, definitely shout out to Bill Plaschke, definitely a GOAT in LA sports media. Whatever, what he's going through, you don't want to wish that on anyone else. And may he have a speedy recovery and, or if not a recovery, at least,
management.
Try to get through it as best as possible, and prayers go out to him and his family. And for the most part, yeah, man, especially with everything that's going on in LA, man. LA, come on, let's make sure that we stay safe, that we don't do anything stupid. As you started the show off with, Andy, let's just make sure we take care of each other.
Yep.
Because like Sly said, and like I reached out to you this morning, rest in peace, Sly. I wish that we were all everyday people. And having said that, and I'm glad you came back in with that song, man.
Thank you.
But talk about Lakers tax, man. I didn't know Lakers tax was that heavy when Mitch in New Jersey starts throwing AK into those assets that are required to trade for somebody, because he threw you in there, didn't he?
I mean, look, it depends where I'm going, Beto, in all honesty. I mean, like, if I'm getting sent somewhere, cool, I have to be at least open to this. And if I'm going to start making NBA money in order to balance those salaries, I'm definitely open to this.
Can we send you then in a package for Locked On Jazz? What do you think? What's his name? Danny Ainge would want to strong arm us for someone like Walker Kessler? Or is that just out of the question because of guys like Aaron Mintz being the agent there? We have negative history with both of those characters, right? Aaron Mintz and Danny Ainge. I would think that some guy like Walker Kessler is probably not attainable. But, I mean, obviously the Lakers tax is well known throughout the NBA. There's really not a crop of free agents, impending free agents, at least for this year, that really catch your attention, at least when it comes to Lakers. There's a lot of retreads on that list that would end up coming back, like a Andre Drummond or our boy that's currently in Indiana.
Thomas Bryant.
Gosh, man. Yeah, Thomas Bryant or Biggie Bryant, and just overall, I think Brooks in that name, or Robin, I can't remember who.
It'd be Brooke Lopez.
Brooke, right? But I mean, is there, you guys saw what I said. I know Funchy said that it was a joke, that it was 3 years, 120 for Nas Reed. But man, I mean, if that's going to be the asking price for some of these free agents, like I told Funchy, you have Jemison. Why not develop that? I'm not saying he's the immediate fix, but given the fact that we didn't have any centers in our playoff round, we have to get all we can, even if it means throwing in the Jemison or anyone else. Is there anyone in Europe that you could think of, Andy, or even overseas?
Okay, that's I appreciate the call, Beto. Appreciate the call, my man. The Europe scouting is beyond my pay grade, though. There are some people that I've gotten in contact with a little bit over Twitter ever since Luka arrived. Like my profile in Slovenia has risen. I'm not even joking. I look at the analytics for Locked On Lakers, and
you're telling me if you go to Slovenia, you can't walk outside?
I will get mobbed in any mall I go to in Slovenia. I am that big. It would be like the Beatles arrived in Slovenia.
That's right.
That's me walking in there.
Khobi walking in China.
Zdravo to all my new Slovenian friends. As far as, someone like Trey Jemison, he's a third-string guy. And I like having him around, but Trey Jemison's not the answer. Walker Kessler, who Beto brought up, what I think is interesting about Kessler, first of all, I would be surprised if he's truly available. Like we've heard now rumblings of Walker Kessler being available for like a couple seasons. And in all honesty, I think that's a lot of residual from a few years ago where he wasn't playing much. He has since been playing a lot. He is a young, established center at a time when centers are becoming more valuable. So in some respects, if Walker Kessler actually is available, it almost feels like a red flag to me. Like I need to learn more about why a 24-year-old like double-double center.
Walking double-double.
Right, walking double-double who can play defense is actually available. Like I'm a little bit
still
concerned.
under rookie contract.
Right. But as far as his availability with the Lakers, one of the things I think is interesting about that is that Austin Ainge, Danny Ainge's son, who's now running basketball ops for Utah, basically Rob Pelinka's job with the Lakers, he said that they are, in so many words, not going to be tanking anymore. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be winning games more, because they may not be capable of it. And short of some incredibly unforeseen moves, they're not going to be able to contend. But the idea that they're not automatically going to be looking for a bottom-up rebuild, I think is interesting with someone like Kessler, because if he is actually available, and again, I don't think he is, but if he is, that could mean that somebody like maybe Austin Reeves would be of interest to Utah, just in the sense that if you wanted to keep Lauri Markkanen and some of these other guys and pair them with Austin, that makes sense if they're looking to try to win games now. Whereas if they were looking to do a complete teardown, DeAndre, and looking to go youth and picks and trading Kessler that way, I don't think the Lakers can compete with that.
I feel like the Jazz are too guard heavy too, and to want Austin Reeves. I mean, they got a couple other guys on there already on that roster who are already like I said, they're guard heavy, but. I mean,
none of those guys would be keepers though moving forward. I think not
that I think.
Other than maybe Sexton. Well, Isaiah Collier. I think they like Isaiah Collier.
Maybe you think maybe even Keontae George might be gone too.
I don't know about Keon. I mean, I don't know. To be honest,
they've been using him weird towards the end of the season, like off the bench, starting. It's like it was weird.
But I mean, I can't speak with any authority about how much confidence and like commitment they have to Keontae George. I like him, but.
I'm just looking at it as far as like, okay.
But Austin's better than either of those guys now.
That's
so
what I'm saying.
If they're looking to win now, that could make sense. And you know, someone like Isaiah Collier, if they see him as their point guard of the future, Reeves can be a 2-guard.
But even when you got to look at Jordan Clarkson, they're going to move. Are they going to still keep him in the road? I'm saying, like, why would that move make sense for the Jazz if they are so guard heavy already and they're going to offload?
Because I think someone like, if they're looking to offload Kessler, I would assume that they think they can get a big somewhere else. Or like they want to start giving a bigger role to Filipowski, the rookie that they had, his second round guy from Duke last year.
But also you got to remember they have 4 picks this year in this year's draft too. 5, 21, 43, and 53. They could get more guards.
Sure, and look, again, I don't see why they would trade Kessler in the first place. Like I don't actually believe that he's available. But that being said, if he actually is, the fact that they are not, like most people have expected, looking to tank, I think helps the Lakers maybe even by 5%, just because before, if they were looking to go that route, like the best the Lakers can do is a pick and Dalton Connect. That's going to get outbid for Walker Kessler. Like that I'd be stunned if that's the best bid that the Jazz could get for
Unless
Kessler.
it's like a 3-team trade, you know?
Maybe. I mean, thinking about this just 1-for-1 with the Lakers, you're right. If you start expanding it, maybe.
Yeah.
But that the Jazz don't, at least according to Austin Ainge, are not automatically looking to tank, it doesn't hurt the Lakers. Because before, if they were looking to tank, Austin Reeves made no sense for them at all. Because he's already too old for like a bottom-up rebuild.
And I never heard of any Ainge helping the Lakers.
Much less 2 Ainges.
Right?
Like, if you think one Ainge was unhelpful, wait till you get a load of 2 of them. Can you imagine what it would take to get 2 Ainges to sign off on a deal? Although they did help facilitate the Luka deal.
They did.
They did help facilitate the Luka deal. They took JHS who then ended up going to Philly.
Maybe there's a little purple and gold in their heart then.
Maybe Ainge wasn't paying attention. They did keep this under wraps. It wouldn't shock me if they really did not let Danny Ainge entirely in on the loop about what was going on.
Just thought they were going to be trading.
They're just like, look, do you want
trade.
some assets and JHS? Do you want this or not? We're not telling you the rest of the details. Do you want that or not? I said yes. Maybe they didn't tell him, which would be kind of a G move by Rob Pelinka. I give him a lot of respect for that. All right, we're going to get into who could be available for the Lakers this offseason, what moves they could be making. With Khobi Price, covers the Lakers for the SoCal News Group. Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetsky, 710 ESPN.
Travis Rogers and DeMarco Farr.
Back tomorrow at 9 a.m. after Clinton and Friends.
DeMarco, what was your best birthday?
Ever?
Yeah.
Well, there's one, like when I was like 12.
What made it good?
I got everything I wanted. Like everything. I got the bike.
Oh, yeah.
I got the Transformers. I got everything I wanted plus cash.
Oh,
yeah.
It's hard to beat.
That was a cool one.
Did you do a fun party, too, with that? A theme party?
Everybody came to our house, so everyone came for me, got the cake, got to stand there, blow out the candles. That was a fun one. So, yeah. And this one was fun. This one was a great time.
You and I have the same birthday you have coming up later this year. Like, this is once you're past 21, we're only hitting the big numbers.
Right.
You're hitting 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, maybe 75. But, yeah, you're going.
I mean, you would know.
Wow.
Right.
Weekday mornings at 9 a.m.
It's Travis and DeMarco
on 710 ESPN.
Hey, everybody, it's Cap. Inheriting a home can be overwhelming, but Seller's Advantage makes it easy. One customer shared, and I quote, "Inheriting a home felt like too much work. Seller's Advantage gave us a reasonable offer, handled everything, and closed in 3 weeks. I highly recommend them." End quote. Skip repairs and headaches. Call Seller's Advantage at 888-390-AS-IS or visit sellersadvantage.com for your free cash offer.
DRE number 01961658.
Don't worry, sell happy with Seller's Advantage.
USC football is more than a game. It's tradition, pride, and unforgettable Saturdays in the Coliseum. Be there for every kickoff, every touchdown, and every unforgettable moment this season. Secure your football season tickets today and lock in the best seats, exclusive fan benefits, and memories that last a lifetime. Don't miss out. We need you in the stands. Visit USCTrojans.com or call 213-740-GO-SC.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Leaving for the gym so early?
I'm ready to go.
Since you started taking Nugenix Total T, you've been acting like when we met in our 20s.
I feel like myself again. Lower testosterone after turning 40 slowed me down. Nugenix Total T has been a game changer for me.
What is it about Nugenix Total T that's different?
It's a key ingredient called Tesnor. It boosts free and total testosterone to help you get back the drive and energy from your youth. Total T is backed by 5 clinical studies.
I've seen the huge difference it's made for you in the gym, at work, and in the bedroom.
I'm so glad I sent them a text for my complimentary bottle. Text TAP to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Nugenix is the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and we'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever. Absolutely free. Text TAP to 42424. That's TAP to 42424. Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
All the latest surrounding the Lake Show, right here on Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Now back to Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky.
When I was in like 7th or 8th grade, I used to love to play along with this song. I played drums, and this was a great 16th note song. Like that.
Can I tell you something even more funnier? I didn't know this was a Sly and the Family Stone song.
Really?
Did not know. I first heard this with the Beach Boys doing this.
Oh, they did a cover?
They did a cover of this song.
Oh, I bet that's a pretty good cover.
Yeah. with John Stamos playing the drums.
Are you sure this wasn't an episode of Full House?
No, it came on after an episode of Full House.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. There's no way to pivot other than awkwardly, but we are joined right now by my guy Khobi Price, covers the Lakers for the SoCal News Group. He is also the host of a new weekly Lakers Insider show for Bleacher Report. He travels with the Lakers. He's at every game. He's at every practice. He knows the team backwards and forwards. You can follow him on Twitter at Khobi, KHOBI_Price. Khobi, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good. Before we get into the offseason, what the Lakers can do, should do, will do, what do you make of just the playoffs and going out in the first round, how they went out? What were your biggest takeaways from that?
Oh, wow. I mean, honestly, it's kind of funny because what's today, like June 9th?
Yep.
So it's been like a good month plus of being able to reflect on the playoffs. I mean, ultimately, it shouldn't be too surprising, right? I mean, I think going into the playoff series, I think most people expected the Lakers, because they have Luka, because they have LeBron, these two all-time playoff performers, to, overcome any of the deficiencies that we were, I think, all pretty aware of before the playoffs started. But obviously we saw what they didn't. I think these playoffs as a whole have confirmed what we kind of saw in that series, is that you need an identity, you need depth, and you need to have, again, it goes back to identity. You need a roster that's fleshed out. You need an identity that's fleshed out. And for the Lakers, they were victims to not having, understandably so, after you trade for Luka Doncic, in February, you don't get much time together. They, in part, were victims of not having their team and their identity fully fleshed out in a way that we see the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Indiana Pacers or the New York Knicks. I think you're starting to get just what I'm saying. Teams that have advanced further along, those are teams that have those identities. Are they more talented than the Lakers? That's arguable. I think there's a good debate between, are the Lakers as a whole, or at least the Lakers of 2024, 2025, as the season ended, are they more talented than the Minnesota Timberwolves? That can be argued. I think it can be argued either way, but it's not just about talent. It's about, cohesiveness, identity. These are the factors, depth. It's not just about who your best players are. It's also about, who's the worst player you're playing.
Right.
I think these are the things that, were confirmed, not just in that series against Minnesota, but also confirmed in the other series we saw throughout the playoffs.
Obviously, like you mentioned, once you trade for Luka and they did that radical of an overhaul, they didn't really have time to put the roster around Luka that you would ideally, with the benefit of time and offseason, all that stuff. But from the conversations you have with people around the team, do you get a sense that they have a strong vision for how they want to build around Luka, and that it's specific for what they want to be doing?
I think they do. I mean, you get this. I think yes, I do think they have an idea of how they want to build around Luka. I mean, I think also part of that is conversations with Luka himself. I think we kind of saw that play out, obviously, in the trade that happened but did not really happen because it was rescinded. I think that's also going to be a significant factor at play in terms of building out the roster, is the Luka part of it, from the standpoint of, I'm sure maybe it's something we'll get into later, maybe not, something that's just going to be on the horizon. Luka has a contract. He's going to be eligible for a contract extension come August 2nd.
What? I didn't know that.
I know. I'm breaking ground right here, right? Breaking news right here.
This is why it's important to have somebody who's around the team, Khobi, because you're breaking news like this left and right. Appreciate it, man.
But it's important when we talk about the team context, because they need to appeal. There is a feeling of, even if Lucas, he's saying all the right things about, being loyal to the organization, being loyal to the city, to the team, the loyalty that goes from Dallas now goes to LA. There is a feeling around the team of, this is still a 26-year-old superstar that we still have to appease to. And, we can't, if we're going to try to tell him, hey, sign this contract extension, whether it's for 3 years, 4 years, however long, we need to be able to at least show him that, we're going to put in the work and we're going to build a roster around you, for next season, the following seasons, that give you a chance to compete ultimately for a championship. Because the very first press conference, Luka was asked, I think something along the lines of like, what do you have to prove? And Luka said a championship, and even Rob, under his breath, or maybe not even under his breath, just loudly said a championship. So if that's the expectation, that's what's going to need to happen. Well, you're going to have to prove to Luka that you can build a championship roster. I think they have a good idea of how to do so. Now, they're also, under the CBA restrictions that would make it more complicated for them to do so, especially in light of the current roster. But that's the expectation, and there are ways for them to build a championship roster around Luka, and then obviously LeBron James, Austin Reeves down the line. Like, there are ways, there are avenues. I think they have an idea how to do it. Now it's just about execution.
Talking with Khobi Price from the SoCal News Group, covers the Lakers. He's also the host of a weekly Lakers Insider show for Bleacher Report. Follow him on Twitter at Khobi_Price. Do you get a sense of how much in communication that Rob Pelinka is going to be as he looks to make these types of moves with Luka? Like the idea of basically, I don't want to say getting Luka's approval for every move that they make, but just the idea that there's some type of communication, thumbs up, thumbs down, just so they'll know Luka likes what we're doing, or more importantly, doesn't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect for there to be a healthy level of communication. Maybe it's not like in every single move Rob's looking at Luka or giving him a text or like giving him the thumbs up or thumbs down option. But I would expect for there to be a healthy level of communication, as there would be between most stars and the league basketball executive, especially when it comes to like a bigger personnel decisions or even adding a big man, which is something that obviously they still need to do. There's going to be, at least my expectation, is that there's going to be a healthy level of communication, healthy level of dialogue, whether it's between Rob and Luka specifically, or Rob or the Lakers and, Luka's camp, just to make sure that, again, everything's on the up and up. These are things that will help Luka in terms of his, his performances and helping him feel good about where the Lakers are at. And again, making sure that, things are good going into August 2nd or even before that, before he's first eligible to sign that contract extension, or, after that date as well.
At both the SoCal News Group and the Lakers Insider show for Bleacher Report that you host and cover the team, talking with Khobi Price, you've been focusing on some off-season options for the Lakers as they try to build that roster. We're getting to some specific names in a second. But broadly speaking, what do you think should be the focus for Rob Pelinka, whether in terms of position, player attributes, et cetera?
I think obviously the big focus is going to be the center position, just because as of right now they don't have a starting center. They don't even have a big man really signed to the roster.
No, they don't.
Jackson Hayes, unrestricted free agent. You have your two-way and Trey Jemison, but signed for next season. But again, he's a two-way guy. Christian Koloko, restricted free agent after his two-way expires. So you need a big man. Actually, take that back. You need big men. You need multiple big men. So that's going to be the main focus. I do kind of toggle back and forth between what's a bigger need. Like, what would you invest more resources in between a starting big man or maybe another high-level wing, high-level two-way wing? Because I think those are both the highest needs on this team when you look at the roster. And it's one of those things where I don't think the Lakers, I don't think they have the resources, unless they're really, really willing to shake up this roster in a way that I don't think most people expect for them to. I don't know if they have the resources to, it's almost like whack-a-mole, right? To hit all their needs, like whack every single mole that pops his head, at least in a way that would be like satisfactory. But those are the two starting points. And I think, honestly, at this point, based off how the playoffs went, I would say that the starting big man would be a bigger quote unquote need. And if you're gonna invest more resources, I think it should be the starting big man. I think they can kind of get by on, maybe adding a reserve, a reserve wing who can give you, 15, 18, 20 minutes a night, right? Depending on if you still have LeBron, you still have Rui, you still have Dorian Finney-Smith, if you're able to slot in, another reserve, in this theory, you still have Jared Vanderbilt. If you're able to slot in, again, a reserve wing who can eat up minutes and maybe play in these small ball lineups that JJ Redick liked to use last season, I think you can afford to invest more resources in addressing the big man room because, again, they don't have any signed right now, and so they're going to need multiple, and they're going to need to obviously add those multiple big men through multiple avenues, whether it's trades, a better minimum signing. They have the taxpayer mid-level exception at their disposal. Like, they're going to need multiple.
Yes.
We're talking maybe 2 or 3
Yeah.
big men, not just a starting big man, but like a starting big man in reserve. Maybe you can get a third one in there. If you don't obviously convert Trey Jemison or even like re-sign Christian Koloko to a standard deal.
Well, along those lines, we're talking with Khobi Price from the SoCal News Group, the host of a weekly Lakers insider show for Bleacher Report, covers the team. You wrote recently for the SoCal News Group about bigs that the Lakers could be pursuing. Who do you see as some of the best realistic options, whether in a trade or via free agency, that the Lakers could potentially bring in?
Yeah, in that story, I think I led off really with Daniel Gafford and Nick Claxton. I know those are the 2 names that pop out the most when it comes to the Lakers. I think they're realistic trade options from the standpoint of, if you're going to, I think those will require investing most of your resources, especially more so for Nick Claxton. The Daniel Gafford one's a little tricky just because, what's the temperature between, Nico Harrison wanting to make another deal with the Lakers.
Lakers tax,
So, I guess
Khobi.
history
Lakers
also suggests
tax.
that if Nico Harrison feels like there's the best deal is with the Lakers again, history suggests he'd be willing to make it, right?
That's
like,
a
you already
30
traded
for
Luka
30.
Doncic, was trading Daniel Gafford to the Lakers.
That's a 30 for 30 I need to watch. I got to
think
put
those
cameras
are 2
in there.
realistic options, and then after that, I think there is the significant drop off into your Clint Capella's, some of some more big men who are more like maybe you could sign them for the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. I do see Brook Lopez come up quite a bit for the Lakers, or mentioned for the Lakers. I just don't know if that's realistic from the standpoint of, I know he's very deep into his career. He's made his money. I just do feel like he'd be able to sign for more than the $5.7 million. I think that's what the non-taxpayer mid-level exception is. I feel like there's going to be a team willing to sign him, so maybe honestly even double that, and maybe just get priced out from that standpoint. But those will be the 2, and I think those are the 2 names that obviously get floated around the most with the Lakers, and I think those are the names who they should look at the most. I mean, this is like other trade targets like Goga Batadze in Orlando. What's Orlando's appetite to trading one of their centers after Mo Wagner towards ACL last season, and that would really just leave Wendell Carter Jr. as their main big man. And Jonathan Isaac, depending on if he plays the 5 like he did last season or goes back to playing more of the 4-3 like previous season. So, like, there are other names out there, but to me, it starts with those 2. And, again, I think they should really invest in the big man position. So I would target those 2 being Daniel Gafford and Nick Claxton.
Talking with Khobi Price, covers the Lakers for the SoCal News Group. What do you think the bar is for the Lakers to trade Austin Reeves? Because if they really want to shake things up, it's hard to imagine that happening without a trade that involves Austin. I've got a follow-up after that, but I'm curious to begin just what you think is that bar.
Yeah, and when I said that, yeah, you kind of it's like we have a good synergy right now because that's where my mind actually went when I said in terms of significant roster shakeups. I think if I answer this question correctly, I think the bar is super high in terms of it would take a lot for them to trade Austin, right? At least during the offseason. Because I think something that probably goes a little under-discussed about Austin is that, obviously as the player option for not this upcoming season, but for the 2026-2027 season, but he could essentially be an expiring contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so, and if you get any inkling that, obviously Austin spoke highly of LA, he spoke highly about his experience with the Lakers. If he expresses if you get any sense that he may not re-sign or may not, come back to the Lakers after his contract's up, then that increases the likelihood of making a trade, ahead of the deadline. However, I think that's more of a deadline thought, not a thought for this summer. I think for this summer, the bar of trading him is super high from the standpoint of it would take a lot for the Lakers to trade Austin Reeves. I'm talking about, they would need to get back a star level player essentially, because that's essentially what Austin is produced at to end last season. I know the playoffs didn't look the way they did, but he essentially was playing. I've said this on the show. I've written this. He performed at an all-star caliber level. So it's going to take an all-star level player or better in a trade for Austin.
Okay, and this leads to the last thing I want to ask you about Khobi. We're talking with Khobi Price, covers the Lakers for the SoCal News Group. Austin is a good player, like full stop. He is a very good player, but he's not a two-way player. And even at, he has his moments, but I don't consider him a viable, consistent two-way player. Again, it's not a knock on him necessarily. He is a good player. I have concerns, though, about moving forward with Austin because he is eventually going to get paid. And he's eventually, I think, going to get paid somewhere between 30 to 40 mil a season. And one of the things that I've noticed with these playoffs and that has me concerned with Austin specifically and with Luka, who obviously is the future of this team, hopefully, I don't know about the viability of a roster where your two most expensive players, and this isn't even counting what might be with LeBron, depending on how long he plays, but let's just stick with Luka and Austin for now, where your two most expensive players, neither one of them is a two-way player. Like if you have roughly 100 mil plus in two players, neither of which are two-way players, and if you're a team like the Lakers that has so little access to young players that you could maybe develop into two-way players around them, I just don't know if you're going to be able to make the cap math work to put those two-way players around Luka and Austin that they would need and that you just run up against the cap math. How valid do you think those concerns are?
I think they're valid. I mean, I do think in this, and you said it yourself, like you're speaking on a post-LeBron, Luka, Austin, yes, Lakers-led team. I think those are valid concerns. Because, I mean, if you look at, like you said, the playoffs or even the finals, like the Thunder are led by Shea and let's just say it's the trio. Yep. Shea, Chet, and SGA, Jalen Williams. Well, Chet's looking like an all-defensive caliber player. So is Jalen Williams.
He literally is.
Yeah, he literally is, right. He is, and SGA is no slouch on that end of the floor, even though, yep, you could argue he's the worst defender in their starting lineup. Well, they have like multiple all-defensive level players, yes, and SGA just happens to be the worst. Now you look at the Pacers. I mean, they're led by Pascal and Tyrese, and I don't think Tyrese is a great defender. You could almost argue that Austin is better defender than Tyrese. However, Pascal is obviously a better defender than both Luka and Austin.
Right, and Miles Turner.
Go to Minnesota. And Miles Turner is there. So I think that's actually what I was going to say is that I think those are valid concerns, but I also think there are ways you can build a roster around Luka and Austin, two players who – and I think Austin's defensive ability is better than what, I think he gets credit for. I mean, I actually looked back on the Minnesota series. I think he had a lot of bad defensive moments. Or he had a fair amount of bad defensive moments. I don't think he had a bad defensive series. And that's something I'm sure some people would disagree about, or at least when it came to guarding Anthony Edwards. I don't think he was poor in that area. Now, there's also the limitations of Austin is, 6'4", 6'5". Mm-hmm. He's not the biggest or strongest player. Julius Randle, if he's guarding Julius Randle, if he's guarding Jaden McDaniels, like there is going to be a strength and size deficit. But I think in terms of guarding his position or his positions, I think he can hold up pretty well. I think he's shown when he's locked in and dialed in, he can hold up pretty well on the perimeter. I think there are ways in which you can build a strong contending roster around Austin and Luka, despite their defensive deficiencies or, them not being the best defensive team. And I think the Mavericks team that went to the finals last year is a good example of that. I think Austin's a better defender than Kyrie Irving. At least this version of Austin is a better defender of Kyrie Irving from last year. And they were able to find a way to make it work. Now, again, there are a lot of things that need to work in your favor. I mean, having Derek Lively on a rookie contract helped a lot, right?
Yep.
And then having Daniel Gafford as a backup center.
And Derek Jones Jr. was on a vet min.
Yeah, so there are. I think again. So this is where having a strong front office, strong front office and a strong scouting helps. Sometimes you have to get lucky. You have to get lucky, or you have to just choose the right veteran minimum to sign. Yeah. This is where you get into that conversation. So I do think yes, there may be limitations. I think there are valid concerns, but if you tell me that Austin and Luka are leading my teams, I do feel like I can build there are avenues to build a roster around them that can contend for a championship.
He is Khobi Price. He covers the Lakers for the SoCal News Group. He's also the host of a weekly Lakers Insider show for Bleacher Report. Follow him on Twitter at KHOBI_Price. Appreciate the time, brother. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Again, that was Khobi Price. We will get back, address a couple more rumors involving the Lakers, and I told my man Walrus that if he called, I would take his call, so that is coming up next. Walrus and Encino. Lakers Talk, 710 ESPN.
It's the Travis and DeMarco Show.
Every weekday morning at 9 a.m.
How many of those bothering them?
11% Belgian beers did you take down? Because that's a commitment.
I got through my six-pack.
Oh.
Yeah, I got through my six-pack.
That's a lot of 11% beer.
It's not that bad. Is it really that bad? Maybe I got an issue.
It's Trav and D-Far. Back tomorrow after Clinton and Friends.
On LA's mega sports station, 710 ESPN.
This is an ad by BetterHelp.
BetterHelp recently surveyed over 16,000 people and found that while 75% of people believe it's wise to seek support, only 27% of Americans are in therapy, and people stay silent to avoid being judged. At BetterHelp, they have over 10 years of experience matching you with the right therapist. We're all better with help. Visit BetterHelp.com/timeout today for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/timeout.
Mark your calendars, SoCal. The High Desert Beer and Wine Festival returns to the Palmdale Amphitheater on Saturday, June 21st from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Sample craft brews from regional breweries, sip fine wines, and enjoy tasty food trucks while rocking out to live performances from Eve 6, DJ A1, and some of the best cover bands around. It's the tastiest party of the summer. Tickets available at highdesertbeerandwinefest.com. General admission and VIP options available. That's highdesertbeerandwinefest.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
This is Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky on 710 ESPN. It's the home of the Lake Show and the home of Lakers Talk.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Back to Andy Kamenetsky.
Running away to get away.
This is one of my favorite Sly and the Family Stone songs, Running Away.
You're wearing
I love this song.
your shoes.
So good. So good. Again, R.I.P. to Sly Stone. Passed away at the age of 82. Absolute legend. Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetsky. Thanks again to Khobi Price from the SoCal News Group. And before we get into another potential Laker rumor, let's talk to Walrus in Encino. You're on Lakers Talk. What's up, Walrus?
Hey, good evening, AK. Good evening, Funch. Love the show, man. I'm just calling in, I suppose, for the first time. So, I think it's very, very obvious to all of us Lakers fans. We need a big, right? Khobi was talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it needs to be a big, though, who can shoot. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the three, but you got to pull it out of the paint, right? You got to open up those cutting lanes, assuming people are going to make cuts to the basket and not just stand on the perimeter. I mean, Funch and I talked about that in the postgame show a lot. Drives me crazy, man. But anyways, so I saw the idea maybe of DeAndre Ayton. Now, he's on an expiring contract. He'd be taking a gamble.
He isn't expiring.
Right? But he's 26 years old. So, like, you know, he might be a guy you could revive. But this is something I remembered after I talked with Funch. Have you seen this hypothetical trade, 3-team trade between Lakers, the Kings, and the Grizzlies, where the Lakers get Domantas Sabonis and Desmond Bane?
I have not seen that. I appreciate the call, Walrus. I'll say this. Domantas Sabonis is a talented player. I think he is a really weird player to try to build around. And as much as I love him as a player, and I think he and Luka offensively could be really, really fun.
Yeah, but what if Sabonis is your third best player on the team?
Well, he's priced at a point where he's going to be pretty close to your second, maybe.
Let's just say he came here. He'd be behind Luka and behind LeBron.
Well, so you're getting rid of Austin? Is he going in this deal?
Yeah, you're probably going to get
rid
of Austin.
I haven't seen the particulars of it.
Okay.
Domantas Sabonis is a defensive liability. Like, just straight up, he is. He's a really good rebounder. Like, I think he tries. I don't think it's indifference. He's not quite big enough to be a center back line. He's
about
not
6'9", right?
Yeah, he's not strong. I mean, he's not quick enough, I think, to be a defensive four. I think Luka and Sabonis as your foundation defensively, that could maybe even create more problems than Luka and Austin. Again, I like Sabonis. I think he's a weird player to try to build around, DeAndre. Like, he's just an unusual player, period. And again, I like him. It's not. This sounds more negative about Sabonis than I actually mean it.
Offensively, what the Lakers would like to do as far as him being able to do dribble handling and stuff like that would be effective. But what the Lakers did a lot this season as far as switching, he's not going to be – there's no way you're going to have to implement it. You're going to have to implement a whole different –
drop. I mean, you can't blame him in drop either.
No, so the Lakers are going to have to implement a whole new defensive system just for a guy like Sabonis. And I don't think they want to play like that.
Again, this sounds more negative about Sabonis than I want to be. I don't even know what that coverage is with Sabonis.
Probably like him pushing up the screener, and then they just kind of play under. Or I don't know. It's hard because a lot of guys.
You definitely need a backline guy. Like, you have to have a backline guy.
Why do you guys players, huh?
Dude, I'm trying to build around Luka. How much could I hate the Euros? I am trying to build around Luka. I am trying to enhance the Laker career of a European player. How dare you?
See, look, my ideal trade, who I would think would be a great fit with the Lakers. Okay. I can't stress enough. I think Jared Allen. Jared Allen is ideally who I feel like the Lakers need and who will fit the Lakers immediately in the rotation. I know you're gonna have to give up someone as far as Austin Reeves. You're gonna give up one of those those draft picks. Include one of those expiring contracts. If you really want to try to make a deal work, I don't think it can. Obviously, it's going to be a reach. I don't know how much Jared Allen makes. I believe
I'm going to tell you right now. He's in the 20s.
Okay, he's in the 20s. So
I think. Let me take a look.
But I just look at it as far as you want a guy who comes in immediately and makes a difference. He can protect the rim. He has a soft touch around the rim. You can utilize him on a screen or roll. If you want to switch, he can switch 1 through 5. He does a good job of contesting shots. Like, there's a lot of little things Jared Allen could do immediately with the Lakers.
Okay, I was technically correct. He's going to make $20 million on the nose next season, but then it jumps to 28. Then it jumps to 30. Then it jumps to 32.5.
A lot of money.
So he's under contract through 2029. Here's the question. I mean, he's a good player. Like, Jared Allen's a good player. He's had some struggles in the playoffs, though. Does that give you any pause, DeAndre?
I mean, we thought Jackson Hayes was going to come in. I'm just saying, okay, no disrespect. I'm just saying we thought Jackson Hayes, because what he did for Lakers in that regular season, how he finished the season off for Lakers, not even knowing that he was going to be the starting center. He did a good job regular season. Came playoff time, he played himself out of the lineup. Austin Reeves, everyone was praising him, thought, he's the best third option in the NBA. As soon as he came into the playoffs, he was non-existent as far as offensively. He struggled a lot, and then defensively, he was a liability. So, with that being said, if Jared Allen has his playoff struggles, as a guy you could take your chances on with him because there's a lot of other Lakers who have struggled in the playoffs as well.
By the way, you mentioned Jackson Hayes. He confirmed, I want to say on an Instagram comment or something, he is open to coming back to the Lakers.
Oh, God.
To which I was like, I mean, and look, I don't mean this disrespectfully or to sound like an a-hole to Jackson Hayes. Like, I think he is I think he's actually a perfectly good backup or third center.
Yes, he is.
But the idea that Jackson would not be open to coming back, I'm like, I don't think he's really in the position to, like, completely pick and choose his spots. Like respectfully, he's only gotten rookie scale deals and veterans minimum deals, which, great money. I'm not turning down my nose at that. And he is an NBA player. But he has to leave all his options open.
He does.
Let me ask you guys a question, to you guys. If it came down to Jemison or Jackson Hayes as a third center, who do you go to?
Who's my second?
I don't know.
Well,
blah, blah,
but
blah.
I think I'm not trying to evade it. I think that actually matters a lot.
Okay, I mean, I don't have a name.
Loco?
Well, you're getting to where I wanted to go, DeAndre. To me, the viability in a lot of ways of Hayes or Jemison as your third guy, it really depends on who your second guy is, or maybe even who your first guy is, because that's going to determine how much you actually may depend on Hayes or Jemison or Kloko or whoever. The Lakers ended up in this position down the stretch because JJ only trusted Jackson Hayes as the only center on this team until he stopped trusting him altogether. And then at that point, he trusted no centers on the roster. So their viability in a lot of ways is dictated by who are the guys ahead of them. Like, again, not to try to dodge the question, but I don't know if I want to be. I like the way Trey Jemison, the hustle, the effort, the physicality. I love all that. I don't know if I want to play him 20 minutes a night. Or 18 minutes a night.
At this point of his career,
right?
Yeah, you don't know what you're going to get or whatever, but he does hustle. He does get the loose balls, and he does everything you want heading the center. But I
have never seen. Side note with Jemison, and then we're going to take a break and go to crunch time. I don't think I've ever seen a player who, to this point in his career, has only existed on prorated veterans minimum deals and two-way deals, be so willing to get techs and fines. I have wondered, did Trey Jemison III come from money or something? Because he's reckless with that stuff, man. Every time I watch him get a tech, or I'm like, dude, you can't afford this.
You need a guy like that on your team, though, to go out there and do the dirty work.
Yeah, but you need a rich guy to do it, not Trey Jemison.
Who knows? Someone's probably picking up his check.
I hope so. I hope that LeBron or Luka or hell, even Rui, someone firmly in the millionaire club, I hope was doing that for Trey, because he really responsibly can't afford that. All right, we're going to close out as always with Crunch Time. Funchy's got the topics. DeAndre and I are going to weigh in. Lakers Talk, 710 ESPN.
One of LA's best kept secrets in the heart of Los Angeles, East Central Hotel offers effortless accommodations and unparalleled accessibility. The East Central Hotel is for everyone looking for entertainment, with their trendy, spacious rooms, a renovated gym, and a patio lounge for breakfast, dinner, and drinks. Stop by their incredible Nixo Lounge before your next event at LA Live. Book your stay at eastcentralhotel.com or call 213-748-1291 today at Entertainment's official address.
Hey everybody, it's Cap. Are you downsizing or inheriting a home? Want to cash in on your equity? Call Sellers Advantage. They buy homes as is with no costly repairs, agents, or commissions. Get a competitive cash offer and close in days or on your timeline. Sellers Advantage has over 20 years of experience and even offers a $20,000 advance for moving expenses. Call 888-390-AS-IS or visit sellersadvantage.com for your no-obligation offer.
DRE number 01961658.
Don't worry, sell happy with Sellers Advantage.
Hey guys, it's Sedano. In the market for new flooring? Why pay more at big box stores? At Hernandez Wholesale Flooring, every day is a deal, no gimmicks. Call 866-62-FLOOR or visit them online at hernandezwholesaleflooring.net. No sale beats wholesale.
Your next Subaru is waiting for you at Subaru of Glendale. Check this out. Lease a new 2025 Subaru Crosstrek Sport CVT for just $299 a month plus tax for 36 months.
One at this payment. VIN S37-03172. MSRP $31,935. $33.99 due at signing.
Call 888-855-6434 or check out SubaruofGlendale.net.
On approved Tier 1 credit through Subaru Motors Finance. No security deposit. 10,000 miles a year. Model code SRD-21.
It's crunch time on Lakers Talk.
When the clock is ticking and it's all coming down to the wire, you know what that means.
This is crunch time.
All right, as always, we close out Lakers Talk with some crunch time. Funchy's got some topics. DeAndre and I are going to weigh in. What you got there, Funchy?
All right, Chris Paul was on a Pat McAfee show when he basically said he's a free agent coming up. He wants to be closer to his family, who've been living in L.A. for like the last 6 years without him, he says. This is what he said on McAfee.
I talked to my family about it. My son just turned 16. My daughter's 12. The past 6 seasons, I've lived without them, right? So I go to San Antonio, Phoenix, Golden State. No, they were in Houston with me. OKC, but I've been around a few teams, but I've been away from them for the last 6 years. So, but I want to hoop. Because I love to hoop, but at the same time, I do want to be dad.
And now the speculation is he's coming back to L.A. because
Lakers
he wants to be
Clippers?
close. Yeah, Lakers or Clippers. So what do you think if the Lakers sign Chris Paul to be their backup point guard?
Well, you know what's funny about this, and this is something Brian and I talked about on a recent Locked On Lakers. In some ways, like Chris Paul, if you look at his numbers, like forget just for 40, I'm just saying for a backup point guard, they're actually pretty good. Like he averaged about 9 points a game, about 7.5 assists a game.
Those are really good.
Like 37% from behind the arc. He played all 82 games, played about 28 minutes a game. They're better numbers and I think better production than Gabe Vincent. And like I'd be lying if I said I've seen enough of Chris Paul in San Antonio to know exactly where he's at defensively. But even if Gabe is better than CP3 right now defensively, he still presents the same problem of often being too small and often becoming a liability with his size. So to me, if the Lakers were interested in Chris Paul, I would assume it's in part because they're going to be moving Gabe Vincent or have moved Gabe Vincent. But beyond the fit with the Lakers, in a lot of ways, DeAndre, it feels as much, if not more, of a commentary on Gabe Vincent and a need to upgrade over Vincent it is about Chris Paul.
I feel like, especially in Chris Paul's career path now, he's kind of like the mentor. He goes in there kind of, you know, he did the same with OKC when he came in there and he was a point guard. He kind of guided them and showed them, okay, this is what a veteran's supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to be on and off the court. And he took on that same role when he came to San Antonio, just that veteran leadership role. So if he were to come with the Lakers, they're going to have to build a team around where he can just come in and make an immediate impact as far as like deep in the playoffs, because he's not going to be playing 30 minutes a game. There's no chance. Like,
and they have to. If you bring in Chris Paul, you have to address more athleticism across the roster.
Especially, like, so they're gonna need more wings, and they're gonna need a lot of guys. Like I said, the Lakers. I just look at what JJ Redick and that staff did this year. They did a lot of switching defensively. So he's gonna be on a small. I mean, he's gonna be on a bigger guy and stuff like that. So.
And say if they get Chris Paul, they're gonna need more dunk and lob guys.
Which, by the way, they're gonna need. They need more of those guys anyway because you're looking for those for Luka, and they need more athleticism anyway. But in a lot of ways, I think if you're interested in Chris Paul, it says as much about Gabe Vincent as it does CP3.
But I do want to see him come back to L.A. You know, it might be a great way to end his career, to be a Laker and play with his boy, LeBron.
Go back to the Clippers.
Counterpoint.
Oh, man.
Go back to the
Why?
Clippers.
You don't want him on the Lakers, DeAndre? I would take him. If you get him at a veteran minimum, I'll take him.
It's got to be a vet min.
Yeah, it has to be a vet min.
It has to be a vet min.
I like Chris Paul. I love what he did as far as his whole entire career, but right now, as far as what the Lakers' goal are, I don't think he should be in their plans.
Well, LeBron, this is LeBron's buddy, okay? So if LeBron says he's coming, he's coming. He was on a banana boat. He's coming.
He would finally complete the ring
Yes,
when
he
it comes
would.
to NBA teammates on the banana boat.
Played with Melo, played with D. Wade. Yeah. So next he has to play with Gabrielle Union.
Oh, my God.
Now you're spreading rumors and gossip. That can be taken way out of context in ways that could get everybody in a lot of trouble.
Well, I'm just I'm just saying, if he plays basketball with her, not the other thing. Okay, get your mind out of the gutter, guys.
I'm just saying. But still, yeah, at that point he would have played.
They're
with
both
all...
married people. Leave them alone.
He would, though, have played now at that point with all of his good friends, which actually is really cool. Like, one of the things that I did love, it's a different generation, but Lamar Odom, Ron Artest, Elton Brand, they all grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they played
Queensbridge.
Yeah, they played on an AAU team that, side note, must have kicked the living bleep out of every team.
And you see them in the court. Yeah, if you're an AAU team and you see them on the other side, you're just.
I think like Speedy Claxton may have been on that team too.
Speedy Claxton.
I want to say it was Eric Barkley. No,
one of those guys. Like, it was like 3 or 4 NBA guys, but all 3 of those guys who were childhood friends, Lamar Odom, Ron Artest, Elton Brand, all 3 of them played together as teammates in the NBA. Lamar and Elton Brand were together with the Clippers. Elton Brand and Ron Artest were together with the Bulls, and obviously Ron Artest and Lamar Odom were together as Lakers. That's really awesome, man. That's cool how all that turned out. And they're all really good dudes on top of it. Like, all 3 of them are really good guys. So that's pretty fun, man.
Speedy Claxton. I haven't heard that name in a minute.
I'll double check this. I think he was on those AAU teams.
What's his first name?
Speedy? I have no idea.
his real name.
I don't know. He went to Hofstra. That's the only thing I remember. Thanks again to Khobi Price and Rylan Stiles for dropping by. Thanks, as always, to DeAndre. Thanks to Funchy. Thanks to all of the callers. We will be back